Seen her over the last few years dramatically accelerate the sales function at ComplyAdvantage. She's an incredible leader. She doesn't consider herself an expert, but you absolutely are. So can we have a round of applause, please, for Jessica from ComplyAdvantage?
Wow. How mental was that? Firstly, I am so jealous of you guys because, wow, I really, really wish I had a community like this when I was starting my sales career. Because as you're about to hear, my first year in sales was a bit of a rocky road. The title of my speech was Becoming an Accidental Expert, and I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I learned really on in my sales career that I still use today, and kind of give you, hopefully, a bit of hope that even though you might not feel at all like an expert, there are certainly some things you can do that make you look like an expert when you're talking to your prospects. So rewind back to 2010. Some of you probably at primary school, which makes you feel really old. So Tom, you've got a friend in your 30s. Yeah. January 2010, I started my second sales job. It was a 360 sales job. I had a target. I'd done some recruitment before, so I definitely knew how to book meetings and really have a clue about anything else, which was a bit of a shame because whilst I got loads of product training on my first day, I got zero sales training and zero help with anything to do with sales. And I was selling payments data and compliance data and software. And I could kind of got my head around the value proposition, like cold call like anyone, book loads of meetings. It was great. That was great. The not so great bit was that I closed about 8 deals in the whole year. It valued about $70,000. And my target was $370,000. So needless to say, going into my review meeting with my boss at the end of that year, I was kind of shitting myself, to be honest. There was threats of having a swear jar, because I usually swear a lot, so I'm sorry. I was terrified. But I got a little bit of hope from that meeting, actually. And in specifics, I want to share with you a line that my boss at the time wrote on my annual report. A bit like school, but you know how it feels. You're right. 18% of target clearly needs work. But Jessica is doing all the right things, and in doing the right things, the right results will come. So I'm going to share with you 3 things that were the right things that I was doing, and some of the things I started doing more of when I realised it wasn't a total fucking disaster, and actually someone was thinking this isn't that bad. The first thing is, and I guarantee this will give you some confidence and some of this like expert type vibes in a meeting, is if you set up a meeting in a professional way, then you will have loads of confidence, you'll feel good, and the customer or the prospect is going to trust you and think you're credible. And here's a handy little tip that I learned early on to help you own it in that first 10 minutes. 4 P's. First P, people. All right. Thanks for having us today. I'm just going to start with a round of introductions. I'm happy to kick off. My name's Jessica. I'm head of sales at ComplyAdvantage. That's P nailed. Second P, purpose. My objective of the meeting today is to understand a lot more about you and to share a bit about ComplyAdvantage. And ultimately, I'd like to explore whether there's an opportunity for a potential partnership. But I understand that this meeting is only going to be effective if you get what you want from it too. So I'd like to understand what everybody in the room really wants to get out of this time together. Third P, process. Now, Mr. Customer, you'll see I sent you an agenda via email. I've also attached it to the calendar invite. Oh, you over there, you printed it off. Nice job, thanks. Would you mind just taking a look over it and letting me know whether you're cool with that, if there's anything you want to add or change? Okay, great. Last P stands for permission. Definitely always check that you've got the amount of time allocated for your meeting, because it's really irritating when your main man or woman just has to bugger off halfway through because he's got an important event. Check for the time. Also, try this out. Check or ask them if it's okay to ask questions, and also ask them if it's okay to take notes. Doesn't work for anyone, and I was like, that's rubbish. But I tried it, and I actually like it. It's good. So use the 4 Ps, remember it every time, and you will look like you are owning it. And also, I've interviewed a ton of salespeople that have been in sales for years, and I do role plays in the interview process, and loads of them don't do this stuff. And it's just a no-brainer. Right, second thing handy tip. Everyone talks about being an expert, and it's really easy, and Tom alluded to this earlier in his talk, that you worry so much about all this stuff that you've got to know. Now, just kind of unknow it. You've got to know some stuff, but you really don't have to know all of it. And what I would recommend that you do is kind of clear your head before you go to any meeting, and remember the important things, but just treat everything as a conversation and have this kind of innocent curiosity that really will see you through. I'll share something that's really embarrassing. From the same meeting with my boss when I'd done 18% of target, he said, Jess, just one more thing before you go. You pull this weird face. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, you pull this weird face in prospect meetings. And I was like, okay, what face? And he's like, it's kind of like this. And I realised that this face was me trying to process all this stuff that I'm trying to think about. And I'm like, oh my God, what are they talking about? And I don't know what to ask. And if he'd have just told me at that time, just to say, just don't pull the face for a start, because you look stupid, and just go, oh, can you tell me what you mean by that? Or what does that mean to you? Or just tell me more. And just absorb what they're saying and get an appreciation for what they're about, and leave any assumptions that you might have about what they're saying, doing, thinking, having pains about, or whatever, the buying process. Just leave that at the door. Third thing, and this is single-handedly the biggest thing that changed my game in sales. And I now know, looking back at that 18%, if I'd have known this, it would have been a different story. The words of advice came from my dad, who's an entrepreneur and a salesperson at heart. And he said, sorry to any Yorkshire people in the room, because I'm going to do a really bad Yorkshire impression. He said, Jess, what you need to do is you need to know next step, and you need to get customer to agree to next step. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of doing that. But what you really need to do is you need to know all steps in the sales process, and you need to get customer to agree to next 2 steps. Wow. This had never occurred to me. So I went back to the office and I started asking some people what the steps, what in the sales process. Bingo, different. Now not only could I have this, intelligent, I'm owning this conversation opener to the meeting, I could ask these innocent questions, not pulling my weird face, and then I could actually direct the customer on this journey of the buying process. It just landed me in a world of like smashing my target rather than floundering. Now, if you think about anything in life, like you don't start making a cake or whatever without reading the recipe. You don't even leave to go to your, I don't know, wherever, to leave to work in the morning, probably not, but go for dinner or whatever without checking City Mapper to see the best way to go. It's the same thing in sales. You have to know where you're directing the customer, and think of yourself as being like a train driver, and you go in on the tracks and you set in the right direction, and it's the prospect's choice whether they're getting on board or not. So do those 3 things, and hopefully, like me, you'll experience 18% first year. Next year I got 90-something%, which whilst I was grateful and got fired, I was annoyed I didn't get 100%. And I've never missed a target since, either as an individual contributor or as a sales leader. And I don't think you need to worry about being an expert. You just need to do a few things well and focus on the inputs. And as I said, focus on doing the right things and the right results will come. Good luck.